Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Let's Play Planet Coaster Project Globe Explorer here on Theme Park Worldwide. And as you can see in this episode by the title and the thumbnail, and of course that huge coaster that I'm building at the back of the park, I am putting in a B&M Giga Coaster into this park. It's the biggest ride I've ever built in Planet Coaster. However, there's a problem. When I was actually building most of the track for this ride, I actually forgot to hit the button for screen recording. Probably the worst fail I've ever made whilst I've been playing Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. So that is why you didn't actually get to see me build the majority of the layout there for the coaster. And you can see me just here sort of maybe 2/3 of the way into the layout, putting this coaster together. But I got to this point and I thought, I can't believe it. I've just not pressed the button to start the screen recording. And I thought, oh my God. But anyway, let me just explain exactly what's happened. So you might have noticed just right at the start of the video, the lift hill was on the left-hand side of the park. It was right behind that Dutch themed area. I then decided that I didn't really like the positioning of the lift hill. And with it being a huge ride, in fact, it's 311 foot tall, this ride. So yes, it's a Giga Coaster from B&M. I thought, you know what, with it being such a tall ride, it needs to look perfect from every angle, and that's why I'm moving it about now as well, to really see how it looks from the other areas, sight lines, and from the front of the park, and most importantly, walking in through that United Kingdom area and seeing it over the lake. But yeah, I thought, you know what, the lift hill doesn't work on the left, so I moved it to the right. And yeah, I thought, you know what, it works much better. And I tell you what, I'm really, really pleased with it. I must say, it's probably my favourite ride I've ever built in Planet Coaster. And of course, I'll take you guys along for a ride on it shortly with the POV. We'll then have a look at some cinematic shots. But let me just talk you through the layout. I mean, like I say, you know, I can't believe it that happened. But these things happen, don't they, sometimes, you know. It's just very unfortunate that it was such a big, iconic ride for this park. But there we go. I'll tell you what, I'm never going to make that mistake again. But yeah, the ride itself, 311 foot tall, makes its way down that huge drop into a huge airtime hill, then makes its way around through the ampersand turnaround section before coming back, doing another couple of airtime hills, and that's to the moment where we are now, where it banks to the left into the mid-course brake run there. Of course, that'll allow us to run a 3-train service, because we'll have it programmed that by the time that train has made it from the top of the lift hill to the mid-course, the next one will be ready to go off the top. So you want to make sure that, of course, we're putting a mid-course brake run in if you're doing a ride of this length. Then got another little airtime hill there, and that's where we're up to. So we'll, yeah, it's all happened very quickly there, much quicker than I was hoping to. I was kind of thinking, like usual, the coaster will take the full episode to put together, and it would have done, because like I say, there was actually a lot to this. I was doing a lot of like making sure that all the airtime hills looked right and had the right forces, it wasn't too forceful, and everything, you know, and it's come together quite nicely. In fact, I'm really, really pleased with it, but I'm just gutted that I didn't have the footage of me doing the majority of the layout. But you can see this second section, and as you can see from the mid-course there, we've made our way into that first airtime hill, bank to the right into the second smaller one, then we're just going to make our way around to the left here, bank to the left, and of course up into the brake run just there, and we'll have a very traditional style B&M Giga brake run where it's on an angle down towards the station. But yeah, the ride itself, like I mentioned in the previous episode, this is all going to be themed around the United States of America. So my whole sort of positioning has changed completely since the last episode last week, where I was talking all about it. Originally, the America area was actually going to be on the left-hand side of the park. It was going to be right behind the Dutch-themed area. And like I say, just because of the placement of that lift hill, it just didn't quite look right. So I thought, you know what? We're going for it on the other side. And talking of not looking right, the supports. Now, Planet Coaster's never been amazing really when it comes to the supports on some of the rides. Like, look at this, it's ridiculously over supported, and that's what I'm doing now, just removing some of the supports where I can do. But the plan is there's going to be some skyscrapers around, especially in front of the lift hill. You'll see that in the next episode, number 14. Blimey, it's crazy how quick this series is going, honestly. But yeah, so that's the plan. We're going to try and cover up some of the supports, and of course when when it's all landscaped and everything around it, you're not going to notice them as much. But yeah, it's sort of going to be a work in progress. As theming's going in, I'll try and remove some supports as and where I can do, because it looks ridiculously over supported at the moment. I mean, I don't think that coaster is going to fall down in like any strong winds or anything like that. You know, I think it's ready to go. And talking of ready to go, let's have a front row POV on this B&M Giga Coaster. So climbing up, you're going to get some spectacular views. If you look left, of course, over the whole park, and then of course looking to the right, all the hills in the background. Yeah, the ride itself, 311 foot tall, a Giga Coaster. Originally, I was going to build a hyper coaster. Of course, a hyper is anything between 200 and 300, but then I thought, you know what, let's go big, and yeah, we went for 300. So the biggest coaster, the tallest I've ever built in the game, and yeah, it took me a long time just to get it right, all the profiling and everything. And like I've said before, by all means, I'm not the best coaster builder out there, but I'm really pleased how this has come together. So really nice steep drop down there, built up a speed of 95 miles an hour at the bottom of there. We're making our way up into that first big moment of airtime. It's kind of like the opposite of Shambhala here, obviously with the ampersand, but it's the other way. And of course, Shambhala is not a Giga, it's a hyper. But yeah, we go into that and come out of it the other way compared to Shambhala, into a little airtime hill that curves us to the right, gets us prepared to go up into this other massive moment there of airtime. Some good ejector on there, up into a bit of floater airtime as we make our way over some of these other hills, and then of course that pretty intense moment where we're going to bank round to the mid-course brake run, where it hardly slows the train at all, and we're straight down into it, banking to the left, up again into another moment of airtime. Really nice and smooth, of course, with it being a B&M coaster, the second B&M in the park, and I don't think it's going to be the last. Let's make our way down into a couple more little camelbacks there, banking to the left, and quite a lot of speed still coming into the brake run just there. And like I say, traditional sort of B&M Giga style, on a bit of a slant there, over that final block break and into the station, and that'll run a 3-train service really nicely. Like I say, I've been working on the ride for, it took me a good couple of hours to put this together, just to make it, you got to think, it wasn't just designing the coaster so it was realistic, it was making it look right. I didn't want to ruin other area sightlines and stuff, and of course you're going to see it. I mean, you know, you're going to be standing over in the Spanish area, and yeah, you are going to see this coaster in the background, but it was making sure that it all looks as good as it possibly can do, and that's going to be the case moving forward with the theming. Now, there's going to be a lot of rides packed into this New York inspired area, including a couple of different drop rides, but you'll find out all about that in episode 14, so you'll have to stay tuned for that, and it'll be coming next week here on Theme Park Worldwide. But yeah, as you can see, we've got some nice cinematic shots now, just so you can see that coaster in action. Oh, I'd love to be on the back row right there now, making our way down to the bottom of that humongous drop. Of course, going to enhance it by adding a lot of theming around it. It's going to come together really nicely. Look at that. Beautiful. I love this cinematic mode in Planet Coaster. You know, it's all automatic. You know, you just press it, and there's a few different options actually, what you can choose, different angles and things, and then it just shows you your coaster all together. Now, you might be thinking, blimey, that's going to be a massive American New York area. Well, of course, the coaster itself isn't going to be fully set within New York. It will be the backdrop to another different country that will be represented sort of off to the left-hand side of the park. So that'll be coming in a few episodes' time. But the plan is, after this New York area is complete, I'm going to actually open the park, and we're going to see how it runs. I mean, you may notice that I've had to turn some of the graphics down to low quality now, hence why the Zero car on the front there doesn't look the best of quality. Basically, there's lots of different graphics settings in this game. I've had to turn them very, very low now, so it can run. We're getting about 35 FPS we was getting during recording parts of this episode. So yeah, it is starting to struggle a little bit, but the part's coming on nicely. And I just want to talk about infrastructure now. So that's what this episode is going to be about. You're going to start to see now where the other areas are going to slot into place. So I've just put in, extended out from the lake here, and put this little river in, and of course that's sort of like a blockade, if you like, between the areas. So you can now see between the Spanish area and the New York area, there's space for a new country to make its way into Globe Explorer. I also thought as well that this would work quite nice as like the waterfront, the river, like of course Manhattan in New York itself. You know, it's not an island, but it kind of is most of the way round. You know, like 3 of the sides are all surrounded by water, and then it's only the top sort of up by you know, where it's connected. So that was my plan with this. I thought it'd make it look quite nice and more authentic if it kind of looks like it's more on a partial island. So that's what I'm doing with the water here. And this also splits off the area. Obviously, you can work out now where the New York area is going to be. That's going to be on the right-hand side of that river. There's also space at the back there behind the coaster for a dark ride. Now, so far, I've built 0 dark rides in this park, which is crazy, really, because you know me, I love dark rides. In fact, I take a lot of dark rides over coasters, but there's a lot of space in this park that I've actually marked out ready for dark rides, and another one of those is right behind that airtime hill there on the return leg of the journey, actually, for the Giga Coaster. That's where there's going to be another dark ride, and I might be looking at some sort of large scale New York themed dark ride to go into there at some point. To the left of the river here is a space for another country. In fact, I'll probably put a couple of different countries over that side of the river. Over there we can fit one in between the Dutch area and the coaster, and another one at the side and also to the back of it as well. Talking of infrastructure, we're going to actually connect up for the first time, 13 episodes. We're actually going to have a full circuit path all the way around the lagoon itself. Of course, the lagoon is not just there to look pretty, it will be home to a nighttime show at some point in the future. Not for the first phase of the park, but certainly for the second phase. We'll be having a nighttime show on there. So yeah, it's exciting to think that we're finally going to have a path that connects all the way round. In a moment, we're going to connect at the railway. And yeah, you know what? I'm just really pleased with how it's all coming together, to be honest. And yeah, especially the past few episodes, it's really just bam. Like, it's gone from being a couple of areas that were done to really feeling how this part's going to, you know, look when it's complete. But I'm really chuffed with the sight lines, like I think of this coaster. I think it looks really nice from all the different areas. I've looked at it very carefully from the Dutch area, of course over from Spain, the United Kingdom, China. The 4 existing areas I've really considered about this coaster. Originally that was going to be a hyper, and sort of it became a Giga Coaster because of how excited I was getting. I thought, you know what, let's go for it, and I'm so glad I did because it fits in so well. Anyway, over the next few minutes you'll see me working on a few more paths around here, see if you can work out some of the areas that I've already earmarked for future attractions. So I really feel like we've accomplished a lot in this episode. Of course, building the huge Giga Coaster at the back of the park, all of the infrastructure such as more trees, paths, the waterways, and now I'm actually working on 3 little islands that will be in the middle of the lake. Now the reason that I didn't do these earlier is all because I was waiting until I put in what was going to be the hyper coaster right at the back of the park, just because I wanted to know exactly how it was going to look on the sight lines, because I wasn't too sure, and you're not until you put something in. Now that's in, I wanted to put in these little islands. These are just to make it not look as empty. I mean, the lake without anything in the middle does look a little bit bare. I don't plan on building like a volcano or a castle or anything like that, nothing fancy in the middle, just these 3 islands, and there might be some extra ones put in at a later date, some smaller ones to hide fireworks and pyrotechnics for the nighttime show that will take place on that lake. But yeah, just going to put some more foliage in on these, and yeah, I might remove a few trees every so often later on when I do want to start putting in some of the pyrotechnics in there. When I do design this show though, then of course it's got to be viewed from all the way around the lake. That's the idea. There's I wanted 4 main viewing areas. I think it's ended up now, we've put all the paths in, there's about 6 main areas where you can stand, but that's where the speakers and lighting features will be. Any screens will be facing towards them areas as well, like on the lake. Any fountain packages, anything like that will all be focused around them areas, but of course you'll be able to enjoy the display from anywhere within the park itself. So yeah, the islands are just going in here. I know a few people were commenting saying, are there plans to put a boat ride on this lake? Not at the moment, so I'm not planning on putting a boat ride in. I am looking, however, at putting a boat ride on the outside of the park to connect the hotels with the car parks and of course the entrance area and the whole entertainment district. So that is the plan, to have some sort of boat ride, but not on this lake inside the park. It will be outside the park as a separate attraction. So you can really start to see now where all these different areas are going to go. We'll be building another country at some point on that small plot of land just there on the left of the screen. Like I said, there'll be 2 areas at the back of the park, one to the left of the ampersand on the Giga Coaster, another one just in front of that, and then of course we've still got space for another one this side of the Spanish area, closer to the bottom of the park. So there's a lot of space. I've still got that room behind the Dutch area. Of course, there's going to be part of the China expansion with a dark ride at some point in the future. So there's a lot of space, you know, to still build in, and there's a lot of different attractions within the park, so it's coming together really nicely. Just working on that berm now that the train is going to sit on. Of course, Disney sort of started it in theme parks really with building berms. Go back to Disneyland 1955 in California, where they built a berm just to block out the outside world, of course, you know. So basically it's just a hill and then they put the train track on top of it. That's what they did at Disneyland, and a lot of parks have done that since. But of course you don't have to put the train track on, but you know, just building a berm, putting some trees on it, it helps blockade in your park and keep it more immersive. And I've done that in a lot of my parks in Planet Coaster since I started playing it over 3 years ago now, when it first came out. You know, started playing it and yeah, putting berms in just because you want to keep the areas immersive as possible and keep you immersed in that world that you're actually standing in, and you don't want to see too much of the next area. But yeah, the train's going in. There's actually going to be a station put somewhere there on the right hand side where the track's just gone in. However, I'm not putting that in yet because there's no country there at the moment, but whatever country does go there, there will be a train station. I don't plan on actually adding one into the USA area now. Originally I was going to put one in, but I don't think I'm going to actually add a train station into here now. However, with anything it is still subject to change, but yeah, it's really just starting to fill out now. We're going to keep the train track towards the back just here, allowing space for a dark ride show building which will go right there, sort of behind the coaster, but to the right hand side of where I'm putting in the train track now. So yeah, there is plans, like I say, to put a dark ride there in the future. So much expansion with this park, and whether I do that or when I someday actually upload it into the workshop when my PC can't handle it anymore, something for you guys to do and add into it. But the good thing is, you know, it looks like so far in terms of FPS and everything, I'm going to be able to complete the New York area as I wanted to, and that does mean that we've got a full set of lands, so to speak. 5 different countries all the way around the lake. So the train track, there we go, that's complete. I mean, it was one of the first things we put in, but now it's finally a full Grand Circle tour, so to speak, as they say at Disney. And it goes all the way around the park, and it can function when the park first opens, which is good. We can add some more stations in at a later date. But there we go, that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for joining me here on Theme Park Worldwide with Project Globe Explorer. I do apologise about me not pressing the record button for the majority of the coaster build. It would have been much more exciting if I had of, but like I say, these things happen. I certainly wasn't going to waste a couple of hours work and just delete it all. But there we go, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week for episode 14 of Let's Play Planet Coaster Globe Explorer. That means it's time to cue those credits. See you next week.